In the heart of Abuja's most prestigious neighborhood, Uche and Amaka were celebrating a new milestone, a promotion for Amaka that marked another step in her already successful career. Their home was filled with friends, family, and laughter as soft music played in the background and guests mingled around the elegantly set dining table. The house itself was a sight to behold, with its polished floors, high ceilings, and walls lined with carefully chosen art pieces. Amaka, glowing with pride and happiness, moved through the crowd, receiving hugs and warm congratulations. Uche watched her with a proud smile, feeling like the luckiest man in the room. He too was doing well in his business, and together they had built a life many admired. As they raised their glasses for a toast, the atmosphere was light and joyful. Everyone knew Uche and Amaka as a perfect couple, successful, caring, and deeply in love. Their life together seems flawless, like a dream come true, and tonight was just one more reason to celebrate. But what Uche didn't know was that Cynthia's appearance in his life was far from coincidence. Years ago, her father had been an essential part of Uche's family business empire. He had been a loyal partner, investing years of his life, helping to build Uche's father's company from ground up. Through long hours and late nights, Cynthia's father had worked tirelessly by Uche's father's side, navigating risks and celebrating the early wins. But when real success came, Uche's father decided to cut ties with Cynthia's father, claiming it was no longer necessary. Abandoned and left with nothing, Cynthia's father struggled with shame and despair, eventually succumbing to the pressures and taking his own life. Cynthia had been just a teenager then, her life completely upended. Forced to fend for herself, she watched as Uche's family continued to thrive, their wealth and reputation growing, while her own life spiraled into hardship. She spent years in survival mode, filled with anger and a burning desire for revenge. When she saw Uche years later, all those memories rushed back, fueling her determination to ruin him. Her plan was clear: to lure him in, gain his trust, and slowly unravel everything he held dear, one calculated move at a time. At a high-profile corporate event, with Abuja's elites gathered under glittering chandeliers, the soft hum of polite conversations, Uche found himself drawn to a woman unlike anyone he had ever met. Cynthia was magnetic, a striking beauty with an air of mystery that seems to surround her like a dark veil. She had a way of looking at him, lingering just a moment too long, her eyes filled with fire that was both inviting and dangerous. As they spoke, Uche felt an unexpected thrill, a pull he couldn't resist. Cynthia was captivating, not only in her beauty, but in the way she listened, drawing him out with questions and her quite steady gaze. Though he knew the risks, his family, his reputation, everything he and Amaka had built, something about Cynthia's charm and intrigue clouded his judgment. He found himself reaching out, starting a whirlwind affair, one that was intense and thrilling, making him feel alive in a way he hadn't felt in years. A few weeks into their affair, fate took an unexpected turn. During a quiet Saturday afternoon at home, as Amaka prepared lunch and hummed softly to herself, her phone buzzed with a message. Smiling, she looked up and announced, "You won't believe who is back in Abuja. Cynthia, my friend from Unilag. We were so close back then." Uche's heart skipped a beat. The same Cynthia? He struggled to keep his composure as Amaka continued, eyes bright with excitement. "We lost touch after graduation, but she just reached out to me. I can't wait for you to meet her." 2 days later, Cynthia was at their doorstep, her expression warm and familiar as she embraced Amaka, slipping seamlessly into their home. Uche watched uneasily as Cynthia chatted with Amaka like an old friend, her laughter filling their living room, her eyes occasionally flickering in his direction with a knowing glint. Every word she spoke seems harmless, yet he could feel the tension tightening with every second. Amaka, Completely unsuspecting, introduced Cynthia to their family and friends, thrilled to have her back in her life. As Cynthia charmed her way into their world, she grew closer to Amaka, carefully weaving herself into their daily routine, all while masking her true motives. To Amaka, she was just an old friend rekindling the cherished bond. But to Uche, she was a threat lurking in plain sight, dangerous, calculating, and now too close for comfort. Cynthia's reconnection with Amaka wasn't by chance. She had been watching Uche for months, gathering information, learning about his routines, his family, his weakness. When she discovered that Uche was married to her former university acquaintance, Amaka, she knew she had the perfect way to infiltrate his life. Reaching out to Amaka as an old friend was part of her plan, a way to position herself close to Uche without raising suspicion. Every encounter, every interaction was carefully orchestrated. Cynthia would charm Amaka, gain her trust, and in doing so, draw Uche further into her trap. As Uche's affair with Cynthia grew more intense, the thrill started to take a dark turn. Cynthia began to play a different game, one that kept Uche on edge, trapped between desire and a creeping sense of dread. She started making vague comments that unnerved him, hinting at things she shouldn't know. One evening, as they met in secret, she casually remarked, "It's funny how everyone thinks your family success was clean." Uche froze, his pulse quickening. "What do you mean by that?" he asked, trying to sound unaffected. Cynthia only smiled, leaving her words hanging in the air, planting seed of doubt and fear in his mind. Soon, it wasn't just words. Cynthia began leaving small traces of their encounter around his home. A faint taint of her perfume on his jacket, a stray earrings near his car. These little clues, subtle but unmistakable, were enough to make Uche feel as if we were walking on a thin ice, dreading the moment Amaka might notice, and notice she did. One evening, Amaka comforted him, holding up a red lipstick-stained handkerchief that had somehow made its way into the laundry. "Whose is this, Uche?" she asked, her voice steady, but her eyes questioning. Uche scrambled for an excuse, blaming his long hours at work and the stress that he had been building up. He said the handkerchief must have been left behind by a client or picked up by mistake. He painted a picture of a man under pressure, hoping to throw off the saints. But the more he dismissed her concerns, the more suspicious Amaka was. She couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong, that her once solid life was beginning to slip through her fingers. Meanwhile, Cynthia watched it all unfold with satisfaction, pulling Uche further into her trap, tightening her hold on him as he struggled to keep his secrets hidden, unaware of just how deep a web of deception truly ran. Uche could barely contain his frustration any longer. He arranged a meeting with Cynthia, determined to get to the bottom of her cryptic comments and strange behaviors. They met at a secluded cave, away from prying eyes. Sitting across from her, he couldn't help but notice the satisfaction in her gaze, as if she had been anticipating this moment all along. "What are you really after, Cynthia?" he asked, his voice tense. "You've been playing games with me, and I want to know why." Cynthia let out a low laugh, her expression darkening. "You think this is about an affair, Uche? No, this is about justice, about paying for the sins your family conveniently buried." Uche stared at her, taken aback as she continued. "Years ago, my father was your father's right-hand man. Together they built your family's empire from ground up. My father was there through every deal, every late night, every struggle. But when success came, your father decided he didn't need him anymore. He cut him off, cast him aside with nothing, after all the sacrifices he had made." Cynthia's voice grew colder, and Uche could see the years of resentment simmering just beneath her calm exterior. "My father tried to start over, but he was left with nothing. He lost everything, his livelihood, his dignity. Eventually, the shame and the despair consumed him, and he ended his own life." She paused, her gaze hard and unforgiving. "You can't imagine what that did to us. I was just a teenager, Uche. And from that moment, my life spiraled. I spent years struggling, going from one man to another just to survive. Every step I took, every compromise I made, I thought about how different my life could have been if your father hadn't taken everything from us. Uche felt a chill settle over him as the weight of our words sank in. Cynthia wasn't just a random lover. She was someone with a vendetta. Someone who had been waiting for this opportunity to turn the tables. She had come into his life with only one purpose: to make him pay for his family's sins, to strip away everything he valued, just as her father had been stripped of his. You thought you could have it all, Uche. A perfect life, a loyal wife, success, respect, she said, a voice full of bitter satisfaction. But I am here. I am here to show you what it feels like to lose everything, just like I did. Desperate, Uche whispered, "This has to stop, Cynthia." But Cynthia only leaned closer, her voice soft yet cold. "Oh, Uche, you're already in too deep. This isn't something you can just walk away from anymore." Amaka had been living with an uneasy feeling for months. Uche's late nights, the mysterious calls, and the faint traces of another woman that seems to creep into her once perfect home all pointed to something she wished weren't true. Still, she held out hope, convincing herself that it would come around. Whatever temptation he faced were temporary, and that he would eventually choose the family they had built together. But one evening, as she picked up Uche's phone to move it off the dining table, a notification popped up, a WhatsApp message from an unsaved number. Curiosity piqued. Amaka glanced at the screen, and there it was. "Can't wait to see you tomorrow, my love. Same place." She hesitated, glancing at the phone in her hand, her mind racing with excuses, reasons, anything to dismiss her suspicion. But curiosity won, and as her eyes moved over the words, each message felt like a blow. Her heart sinking as the reality of Uche's betrayal became undeniable. As she opened the chat thread, her hands trembling, scrolling up, she found a series of messages between Uche and a woman named Cynthia, filled with intimate words, endearing nicknames, and plans they had made to meet in secret. Each message felt like a dagger, piercing through her hope and her trust. The reality sank in all at once, hitting her like a punch to the stomach. Her suspicions, the sleepless nights, the lingering doubts, it was all real. The walls of her carefully constructed life came crashing down as she stood there, staring at the proof in front of her, her entire world unraveling in the glow of Uche's phone. Later that night, as Uche stepped through the front door, Amaka was waiting for him, standing in the dimly lit hallway, her face shadowed, but her eyes flashing with a cold, hard resolve he hadn't seen before. She held up his phone, the screen glowing faintly in her hand. The dirty messages with Cynthia opened for him to see. "How long has this been going on, Uche? How long have you been lying to me?" she demanded, her voice a mix of hot and restrained fury. Caught off guard, Uche felt the weight of the moment crush him. He stammered, searching for words, excuses, anything that could explain this. But Amaka raised her hand, her expression filled with years of silent endurance. "Don't, just don't," she said, her voice breaking as she met his gaze. "You think I didn't know? I ignored the late nights, the business trips, even the rumors, thinking you would come to your senses. But this, bringing her into our homes, letting her walk freely in my life." Her voice shook as she continued, a blend of heartbreak and anger pouring out, each word like dagger. "I stayed with you, Uche. I waited, thinking maybe one day you will realize what we had. But this," she looked at him, eyes brimming with tears, "this I can't forgive." In that moment, everything between them shattered, the weight of Uche's betrayal crushing the life they had built together. Feeling humiliated, Amaka sat in silence, letting the reality sink in. Everything they had built together, every dream, every plan felt tainted. She thought of their children, their home, their family, and wondered if any of it had ever truly mattered to him. In that moment, Amaka knew she had a choice to make. She could stay, as she had done before, accepting his lies and betrayals, or she could walk away, finally recognizing that the life they had built together was no longer the life she wanted. Days after Amaka's devastating discovery, Uche's life spiraled into chaos. His once perfect family was slipping away, and just as he tried to regain control, Cynthia vanished without trace. No calls, no messages, she was simply gone. Confused and desperate, Uche searched for any sign of her, but his only answer came in form of a single letter left on his desk, in a neat calculated handwriting. Cynthia's final message chilled him to the core. Look within your home for the real betrayal. Stunned, Uche reread the note, trying to make sense of its cryptic meaning. It felt like one last jab, a twisted hint pointing to something darker. As he pieces things together, a hidden truth began to emerge. Cynthia hadn't acted alone in her plot to ruin him. She had a silent compliance, someone close to him who had guided her, armed her with private details, and fueled her revenge. Determined to uncover the truth, Uche dug deeper, reaching out to those within his family circle. Slowly, a shocking revelation came to light. Cynthia had been encouraged by someone who harbored their own resentment towards him. A sibling who had long felt overshadowed by Uche's success. A relative who saw him as an undeserving of the life he had built. They believed Uche had everything handed to him, and over time had nursed a deep-seated jealousy that festered into betrayal. Realizing the betrayal wasn't only from Cynthia, but from within his own family, lest Uche chattered. His trust had been poisoned from all sides, and the empire he had built felt like a fragile illusion. It was left haunted, not only by Cynthia's revenge, but by the knowledge that those he trusted most had played a hand in his downfall. As the dust settled, Uche found himself standing amidst the ruins of his life he once took for granted. His marriage, which had been the foundation of his happiness, was beyond repair. He made a decision. He deserved a life free from betrayal, a life where she could rebuild without the shadow of his mistakes hanging over her. With quiet determination, she began to piece together a new life, one focused on her own dreams and her children's well-being. Uche, on the other hand, was left to face the consequences of deception alone. His family, once a source of support and pride, now viewed him with resentment and disappointment. Friends who once admired him turned away, disillusioned by the truth of his actions. The respect he had built over the years was gone, leaving him with a hollow reputation and memories of what he had destroyed. Haunted by Cynthia's parting words and betrayal that had come from within his own family, Uche became a shadow of a man he once was. Nights were filled with restless thoughts, a constant reminder of how easily he had let his desire and pride unravel the life he once cherished. The empire he had built, the success he had celebrated, now felt empty and meaningless without the people he had lost along the way. In the end, Uche was left alone, carrying the weight of his actions, the trust he had shattered, the heart he had broken, and the family he had betrayed. All of it lingered like a ghost, a constant reminder of the price he had paid for his choices. His life, once full of promise, was now a hollow shell, marked by regrets and bitter truths that some mistakes can never be undone. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, like, share with your friends, and leave your thoughts to start a conversation. Thanks for watching. Naija Life Stories, bringing life to every tale. Bye!